What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Matt the Scat, and I'm back with another video. As you can see by the title, we're going to be talking about the top 10 NBA players of the 2000s. Now, this is just a disclaimer. Every stat and every statistic and information I'm about to get you, all the information, is from 2000 to 2009. So when I say Kobe Bryant won 4 titles, I know he won 5, but the 5th one was in the 2010s. So I don't need y'all in the comments saying, hey, so-and-so actually did this. I know. But we're talking about from what happened between, 2000 and 2009. So we're going to get right into it. I have a player who did not make the list. We're going to start by naming a player who did not make the list. But I figured you guys would ask about him, so I'm going to talk about him. Gilbert Arenas, one of the best scorers in the NBA in his prime, in history in his prime. But granted, Gilbert Arenas never made it out of the second round. He made the semifinals in 2005, in which he got swept. He averaged 20.7 points per game, and he's the true definition of a volume shooter. He never shot above 45% more than 2 times. And 45% isn't even considered elite. 45% from the field is actually pretty average. So that's why he's not on the list. He just didn't do enough. He didn't win. Great score. Didn't make the list. But now I have the honorable mentions. Ray Allen and Carmelo Anthony. Before Ray Allen went to the Celtics and to the Heat, he was actually the primary scorer and ball handler for the Seattle Supersonics, where he averaged 21 points per game, 7 out of the 10 years of the 2000s. He actually took the Seattle Supersonics to the conference finals one year, where they lost against Milwaukee. Well, actually, no. I apologize. Yeah. He took them to the conference finals and lost in 7 games. But yeah, we know what Ray Allen is. One of the greatest 3-point shooters ever. One of the greatest scorers in his prime. He didn't make the list. We're going to talk about Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony, we know what he is, an ISO scorer. He averaged 24 points per game. He never made it to the finals, obviously. And he's only been to the conference finals once. And he lost to Kobe's Lakers in 6. So I just wanted to name a few players that I figured you guys may ask about that didn't make it. If this was the top 15 or top 20, they would be on here, but this is the top 10, so they're not. All right, so we're going to start it off at number 10. We're going to talk about Steve Nash. Steve Nash never averaged more than 20 points per game. I'm going to start by saying that. But he did win MVP twice. One of those years he shouldn't have won because Steve Nash averaged like 15 points and 8 assists. Meanwhile, while Shaq was being dominant, averaging 23 and 10, and they still gave it to Steve Nash. So he doesn't deserve one of those. But you know what? He got it. It's whatever. He has 12 playoff appearances and 4 conference finals appearances, which he lost all of them. He either lost to the Spurs or the Lakers every time. He's an 8 times All-Star. He led the league in assists 5 times. But yeah, Steve Nash, we know what he did for the game. He was Steph Curry before Steph Curry. Not as good as Steph Curry, obviously. He's one of the few players in NBA history besides Steph Curry to average 40% from 3, 50% from the field, and 90% from free throw. That's actually very impressive. But I can't put him any higher because he didn't win anything. And he had a whole team. He had Amari Stoudemire, Shaq at one point, Sean Marion, and it was in a Mike D'Antoni offensive system, and still never made it to the finals. So I can't put him any higher than 10. At number 9, we're going to talk about Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce made the playoffs 14 times. He won the championship in 2008, obviously, where he won finals MVP. Now, this is what shocked me. He actually took the Celtics by himself before Rondo, KG, Ray Allen, before they all joined him. He actually took the Celtics to the Eastern Conference Finals, which is very impressive. He averaged 25 plus in 5 of the 10 years in the 2000s. And like I said, he won finals MVP. He actually made all NBA second team in 2009. And he's a 10-time All-Star. But next we're going to talk about Tracy McGrady, who is at the 8th spot. Now the 8, 7, and 6 spot are the closest. You could put these in pretty much any order, and it's debatable. But I'm going to show you why each player I'm going to name is at the spot I listed them at. At number 8, like I said, we have Tracy McGrady. Tracy McGrady averaged 25 points per game in the 2000s. He averaged 32 points per game in the 02-03 season. And he averaged above 5 rebounds and assists 8 years out of the 10. He's a very underrated all-around player. People, when you say T-Mac, people only think about his shooting, his difficult shot making ability, but they don't. He's a very underrated rebounding and passer. He was really, not want to say LeBron-esque, but he was an all-around small forward. He's 6'8", so he was, I guess, LeBron-esque. He could do a lot of everything. But the reason why he is so low on the list, because people are probably like, what, T-Mac? T-Mac in his prime isn't top 5 in the 2000s? No, and let me tell you why. Tracy McGrady never made it past the first round until he linked up with Yao Ming in Houston. Never. That means when he was with Vince Carter in the Raptors. Granted, he was young, he was a babe, just coming into the league, but he never made it out of the first round until 2012. So he had already been in the league for over a decade and still hadn't gotten past the first round. So as good as he was, I couldn't put him any higher because the next players I'm going to list made it to the finals with worse teams. So at number 7, I have LeBron James. LeBron James averaged 28 points per game. We use LeBron, so he's an all-around freak of nature. He never averaged anything lower. Never averaged anything lower 6 assists and 6 boards in the 2000s ever. And this is young LeBron. This isn't even current LeBron. This is how you know LeBron is on a Mount Rushmore basketball. Him coming in as a pup, pretty much between 18 and 25. Never, always averaged 25 and higher, except for like his rookie year, and always averaged 6 assists and 6 boards. Insane. He took a trash team that had no business in the playoffs to the finals when he was playing with Daniel Boobie Gibson, Delonte West, Ilgauskas, who was pretty decent. But that team they shouldn't even have been allowed to dream about the finals, let alone playing one. They shouldn't even have been allowed to dream in one, of playing in one. And he took that team. Now, granted, they got swept by the Spurs, but the Spurs had Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Coach Popovich. Like, he wasn't going to beat that team. Now, LeBron at this point was not a great shooter, and he wasn't very clutch. At this point in time, LeBron had demons at the free throw line. He was very scared to take the game-winning shot and very hesitant to drive in at the last second because he did not want to go to the free throw line. A lot of analysts talk about that. That was like the one knock of LeBron. His free throw shooting is still, but we're not going to talk about that. But he made first-team All-NBA 3 years. He won MVP in 2009, and he made it past the second round twice. Okay, the year he lost to in the finals to the Spurs, and the year that he made it to the conference finals against the Magic and the Celtics. He lost both of those. He lost to the Magic and he lost to the Celtics in the conference finals. But yeah, the reason why I put LeBron above T-Mac, like I said, is because he had worse teams and took his team further. Now at number 6, I have Allen Iverson. Now, like I said, 8, 7, and 6, their stats are pretty much identical. They all average pretty much 25, 6, and 6 over the course of the 2000s decade. But the reason why I put Allen Iverson above LeBron is because their stats are very similar, but I had to make another factor to separate them, and that's clutchness. I think we all can agree that we'd rather give Allen Iverson the ball over LeBron James. Even LeBron James today, I'd rather have Allen Iverson taking the last shot. But Allen Iverson changed the culture of the NBA. He was one of the first players, he was the first player to come in at a press conference wearing a do-rag, chains, long white tee. He averaged 26.5 points per game. Let me tell you this. Allen Iverson at 6 foot, 165 pounds, in a more physical era, averaged 30-plus points per game 4 times in the 2000s. 4 times. That's insane. To be that small, playing in that era. Now, it wasn't the 90s or the 80s, but the 2000s were still pretty rough. To be that small and to average over 30 points per game 4 times, insane. He took a below-average team to the finals in 2001 where he met the Lakers. Now, he lost. You can't knock that. He lost to a prime Shaquille O'Neal. And he lost to an ascending Kobe Bryant. And still won a game. LeBron got swept. Allen Iverson went up against a prime Shaq and an ascending Kobe Bryant coached by Phil Jackson and still won a game away. It was an away game. You just got to give Allen Iverson props. The determination, the grit, the heart he played with, it's insane. But he made, in 2002, Well, excuse me, let me back up. He made the conference finals in 2002. In 2002, he made the All-Star team every single year in the 2000s. Every single year he made the All-Star team in the 2000s. He made first team All-NBA 2 years in the 2000s, and he also won MVP in 2001. So that's why I have Allen Iverson above LeBron James. But now we're going to get into the top 5. At number 5, I have Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett is one of the most intense and passionate players in NBA history. He actually won MVP in 2004. He obviously won the finals as the second option on the Celtics in 2008. He made first team All-NBA 4 years, and he made All-NBA second team 3 years. He averaged 19 points per game. Granted, that's not that impressive, but it would be over 20. But the last 2 years of the 2000s, he joined up with the Celtics, and he became the second and third option. So that's why his points dropped off a little bit. But in his prime, he averaged like about 21, 22 points per game. He averaged 11 plus rebounds, for 7 years out of 10 in the 2000s. So he was pretty much a guaranteed 20 and 10 while being one of the best defensive players at the position of all time. Arguably the best defensive player at the position. Some people will say Tim Duncan. That's debatable. Just in terms of defense. We know Tim Duncan's a greater power forward than KG. But just specifically defense, Kevin Garnett was one of the best defensive players at the position in history. He actually took before he joined the Celtics, he actually took the Timberwolves to the Western Conference Finals in 2004, where once again he lost to the Lakers. The Lakers really ruined a lot of people's dreams. the Lakers really stopped Allen Iverson, stopped Tim Duncan sometimes, beat KG up. The Lakers were everybody's kryptonite, man. But yeah, he took them to Western Conference Finals, and they lost, obviously. But this man shot 47% every year in the 2000s. 47 plus. He never shot underneath 47%. And this isn't like Shaquille O'Neal, where all his points come from dunking and layups and in the paint. KG was stretching the floor. He was shooting 19-foot mid-range jump shots. He was stretching the floor. So I thought I'd just put that out there. So now we're going to talk about Dwayne Wade, who comes in at number 4. Dwayne Wade is an NBA champion. He won in 2006. He put up one of the best finals performances in 2006 in NBA history. He averaged 34.7 points per game. That's insane. That is arguably one of the greater than Kobe's finals, greater than some of Michael's finals. This is one of the best finals performances we've ever seen. Granted, he had Shaquille O'Neal to take the pressure off of him. Sometimes they would double Shaq, but still, that's very impressive. He made the All-Star team 5 times, which is very impressive. Since he came into the league in 2003, so he only missed it twice in the 2000s. He made first team All-NBA. He made first team All-NBA once and second team All-NBA twice. Now that may seem very underwhelming, but you have to keep this in mind and put it in its proper context. He missed some of those teams because of Kobe Bryant. Let's not beat around the bush. He missed first team All-NBA because of Kobe Bryant. Because if Kobe was not in the league, he would have been the best shooting guard of the 2000s easily. So I thought I'd just put that into its proper perspective, proper context. He averaged 25 points per game in the 2000s, and he actually never averaged underneath 6 assists, except for his rookie year. His rookie year is the only year in the 2000s where Dwayne Wade did not average at least 6 assists. So he was a very underrated passer too, because when you think about Dwayne Wade, you think about his clutchness, his defense, his speed. He was actually a very gifted point guard. He actually did play point guard. I'm right. He played point guard for a couple of years, but then he switched to shooting guard. So yeah, and on top of that, last thing about Dwayne Wade, he is the best shot blocking 2 guard in NBA history. Over Kobe, over Jordan, Klay Thompson. Well, Klay Thompson doesn't play in this era, but that I'm talking about. But Allen Iverson, whatever 2 guard you want to say, Dwayne Wade is the best shot blocking 2 guard of all time, and it's not even close. At number 3, I have Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal is a 4-time NBA champion, 3-time final MVPs. He averaged 25 points per game for the first half of the decade. But then pretty much after 2006, his career just went downhill. It just plummeted, man, because he never conditioned himself. Like, he never kept his body in shape like a LeBron or like a Kobe. And that's why in an interview, Kobe Bryant said if he had took basketball more serious and he trained more often and kept his body in top form, he would probably be the greatest player ever to exist, to ever play the game of basketball, ahead of Michael Jordan, ahead of Kobe Bryant, ahead of Magic Johnson. Kobe said that he feels that if Shaq had kept his weight in check and his diet in check, they probably would have had 12 rings. Now, granted, I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration. They probably would have somewhere between 6 and 10. But still, he would have definitely been ranked higher. But I can't put him above these next two people simply because of longevity. He didn't last long enough. He had a great 90s career when he played in the 90s, and he was very dominant in the early 2000s when he won his rings with Kobe. But after that, he just sunk, man. He changed teams like 3-4 different times. It was crazy. So next I have Tim Duncan. Like I said, ahead of Shaq because of longevity. He was more consistent. Tim Duncan is number 2. He won MVP 2 times. He won a championship twice in the 2000s, and he won the championship 1 time in the 90s. It was 1999. So he won the championship in 1999, and then he won 2 more championships just in the 2000s. He made first team All-NBA 7 times in the 2000s, and 3 times he made second team All-NBA. He wasn't very spectacular. That's why he's a little underrated. People don't talk about him that much because nothing he did jumped off the screen. That's why they call him Mr. Fundamentals. But he averaged 21 points per game. He never averaged underneath 10. He never averaged under 10 boards per game. He was very consistent, and he never shot underneath 48% ever. That's insane. And he was another player like KG. He wasn't shooting as far as KG. He used to shoot 15 to 16 free throw line jump shots. But it wasn't like Shaq. It wasn't just, like I said, it wasn't just like layups and dunks and alley oops. He was really post fades, turnaround jump shots, mid ranges, pick and fade. He was doing it all. And he was one of the best defensive players of all time at the position. So I have him at number 2, ahead of Shaq and ahead of D Wade. Now, lastly, I have none other than Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant won the title 4 times in the 2000s. Obviously, 3 with Shaq, and then he won another one on his own, where he beat the Celtics. He beat the Magic first. Am I saying that right? I believe he beat the Magic first. Yeah, he beat the Magic first, if I'm not mistaken. So he did that. Kobe Bryant, let me see. He won the Finals MVP once. He made it to the Finals 4 times. He was first team All-NBA every year in the 2000s. Every year in the 2000s, Kobe Bryant made NBA first team except for 2000 and 2001. That's actually insane. That's what I was saying. You can't really say Dwayne Wade's achievements as far as all NBA teams as underwhelming because he lost to Kobe. As you know, Kobe's Kobe. He was actually first team All Defense 7 years, and second team All Defense twice. Kobe averaged 28 points. Kobe averaged 28.4 points per game in the 2000s. We know Mamba for the Mamba mentality. Kobe Bryant, one of the great clutchest players ever. Some people talk about how he wasn't as efficient in the clutch. I would say look at the degree of difficulty. He was getting double team, triple team, and still performing. He was still giving teams buckets. So I have Kobe Bryant at number 1. He won the most. He achieved the most. Had the most defensive teams. So thank you for watching. Please share. Please subscribe. Thank you.